Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I'll be your host this evening, Ed Montana. Alongside me today, my brother from the same mother, Alex. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm great, man. It's a good day today. The Brooklyn Nets play.
Yeah?
The Mets announce Carlos Beltran as manager. And the New York Football Giants get to spank some little girls tonight. I can't wait. It's a good fucking day. And I got an hour back over the weekend somehow. I don't know. Somebody told me I was getting an hour back, so now I get to stay up later and watch the game.
I needed every bit of it because I was out Saturday night and I had to get up early Sunday morning, so I was very happy to get an hour back.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't really think the Giants are going to win tonight, do you?
Why would I not?
Because the Giants are terrible?
I mean, we're getting some players back. And every home team has won this weekend. The first time since like 2005 or some shit. Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and the Giants will fuck this one up.
Well, but no. Well, yeah, I guess
won.
every home team. Because technically the Texans were the visitors in London.
Right, yeah.
Against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So I guess that you're not counting that one. Because technically they were the visitors.
Yeah, but that wasn't a home game.
Right, it was a neutral site game.
Yeah,
really.
so you can't count that.
Okay.
So,
but
still, that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. What is it like? So there were 4 teams on the bye, so that's 14 games less the Giants and the Texans. That's 12.
No, 13. 13 home teams. So that'd be 26. You got 4 on the bye. That's 30, and then 2 today. 32.
Right, but I'm not counting the Texans.
Oh,
because they're not at home.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I think that because again, technically that game was a road game for the Texans.
Right.
Technically, it was a home game for the Jaguars.
I guess.
We're talking about this way too much because no one cares about the Jaguars.
The Jaguars do.
But the Texans are finally looking better.
They're looking a lot better, actually.
Yeah. That division is getting super interesting.
Well, all of a sudden you got, Mr. One-Eyed Deshaun Watson playing like he's been playing like an MVP so far.
He's had a great season. He's had a really good season.
He has.
I wouldn't put him at great yet, but he's done well.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the Texans happen to, win that division, make the playoffs and all that, I mean, he at the end we may be saying he had a pretty great season, right?
Yeah.
And numbers-wise. But, now they're playing well, and all of a sudden, the Colts lose yesterday. They lose Brissett for the game.
Maybe more.
Maybe
that looked
more.
pretty nasty.
Yeah, they said MCL, so I don't know how.
The only thing that looked nastier, and I know you don't watch this, but in the Premier League, Tottenham against Everton, this guy from Tottenham slide tackles. He gets the Everton player, but he doesn't get him bad. But it causes him to jump, kind of lose his balance, and he runs into another guy who literally steps on his leg and snaps it in 2.
Yikes!
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty.
It was nastier than.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Brissett did not have the nastiest injury yesterday. Is my point.
Right.
Because that was nasty.
Still, though, I mean, if he don't play, I mean, shit. Do you call Luck back and say? Do you beg him to? Nah, I mean that's not gonna happen.
Come on back.
But yeah, I mean that could,
But
even out the.
I hate to say this, but Brian Hoyer's not terrible as far as backups go.
Yeah, I mean, he plays for the Colts?
Yeah, he's the backup.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't even know he was in the. I wonder if Frank Reich and the Colts know he's their backup.
They should because they used him yesterday.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Since Brissett was out, yeah, it makes sense.
Well, so yeah, I mean the Texans are looking better. The Titans aren't going anywhere. Jacksonville's that Minshew, that's gonna go away pretty soon. Minshew mania. I think Foles is ready to come back. So Minshew, yeah, whatever his name is.
Minshaw.
So that division is gonna come down to the Colts and the Texans.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And the Texans, I think, have a pretty good schedule the rest of the way, so they should be in good shape.
Now the game from last night. was one of those games that the score looked a lot closer than what the game was. The game itself was never close.
Yeah, no, it felt almost immediately like the Ravens were going to win that game, and they did.
Yeah, from the Ravens' first drive, and then Brady, the first pass just sailed it over Sanu's head, and that's kind of like the way their night went. The Ravens put it on them. I mean, they were on Brady all night long. They were playing smash mouth football.
Well, and the other thing too that people forget is the Patriots. I mean, they've been winning. They've been scoring a lot, but what's really I think carried them has been their defense, and their defense got pretty shredded last night. Lamar Jackson looks more and more like the real deal.
Yeah.
And the Ravens are going to be a problem. Look, I thought the Ravens were going to be a problem. We talked about this. We've been talking about who's the last undefeated to drop. And last week I told you the Niners had Arizona, and the Patriots had the Ravens. And I thought this is going to be where it ends for the Patriots. So the Niners are going to be that team that ends up being the last undefeated team. And it worked out that way.
Yeah.
Just a schedule thing because I don't think the Niners are better than the Patriots, but
I do think that, and I just don't believe in the Patriots this year. As good as they've looked against these mediocre teams, when you compare, let's say, the Patriots and the Chiefs haven't played. I think they played one team that has a sub 500 record. Like everybody else that they've played has been, a decent team. Patriots haven't really played anybody, and Tom Brady, Tom Brady's great. He's the GOAT, whatever, but he doesn't seem comfortable. He doesn't seem happy, and I don't know if it's the team or it's some like outside noise that's going on with him. I don't know, but there's something that is not right because they sign Antonio Brown, and then all of a sudden they let him go. For what reason exactly? I have no idea. Is it all this Texan that was going on with? I don't know. I mean, then Josh Gordon, who seemed to be healthy and playing, and
gets injured, and they
but I mean he came back and then put him on IR.
Well, but he got injured again.
Right, but I mean, he must not be that injured because the Seahawks picked him up pretty quick. So I mean,
right, but he is still on IR for a while. Like I think he's not eligible to come back for another couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
So he's got some kind of problem.
So it's like it's like you can't be taking away Tom Brady's, receivers every time. I mean, I don't know. There's something about that team that is just may not be right, or it may just be that teams are just catching up to them finally. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's the blueprint to beating Tom Brady is to get him on his back, and there's been few teams that have been able to do that, and
yeah. Well, look, there's a couple things there. I think they still are primed to have a deep run into the playoffs. So when you say you don't have any faith in them, I think you're talking about Super Bowl championship, because obviously the bar is very high in New England. But I still think they're going to make the playoffs. Obviously, I still think they're going to be a 1 or a 2 seed. They're probably going to make it to the AFC Championship game because they'll win that first divisional round game. And so, I think that while they may not have the look of a Super Bowl champion, they could still get there because I still think they're going to go pretty far. The other thing, too, is, look, there's only one person that's undefeated in the sports world, and that's Father Time. And what you're seeing may well be that Father Time is starting to tap Tom Brady on the shoulder, because eventually he will, right?
He was still out there slinging it though. Yeah, he was getting the ball to Edelman. He was just dropping it.
Yeah, no. Look, I don't know. I kind of agree with you that New England looks it does look a little bit of smoke and mirrors. It does look a little bit of favorable schedule so far. And I don't know what the reason. Like you, I don't know exactly what the reason is. And it could be that Father Time is tapping Tom Brady on the shoulder. Just because he's throwing the ball doesn't mean maybe he doesn't have quite the same zip, or maybe he's finding the windows a little bit late, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I'd still expect him to go pretty darn deep. And if you have to go to New England to win a football game, that's not easy. That's not going to be easy for Baltimore. That's not going to be easy for Kansas City. It's certainly not going to be easy for the Texans. It's not going to be easy for anyone. And that's part of the problem, right? Or part of what makes you think they may make it back to the Super Bowl. And then obviously who they play in the Super Bowl, one game, you never know, right?
Right.
So, but the big news in that division is not the New England Patriots. The big news
are the Dolphins
the
winning.
Dolphins won a football game. How bad are the Jets? Because I watched a little bit of that game, actually. I'm ashamed to say.
Yeah, you should be.
And the Dolphins are just terrible. I mean, that's a bad football team. And
I don't believe
the Jets are worse.
I don't believe the Jets are a bad team. I think they have the worst coach that anyone can find on this planet.
That guy's got to be staring at an unemployment check come Black Monday.
I'm surprised he's not fired right now.
Seriously,
yeah, I'm really not. I mean, I am surprised.
He is terrible. He is terrible, and I don't. What did they get Le'Veon Bell for? Is he like Is he like the permanent decoy? Because they're not using him.
I don't know, but he was my sleeper pickup in fantasy, and he scored me 16.5 points, so I'll gladly take it. But he should be. Adam Gase should be happy he has Sam Darnold as a quarterback, because Sam Darnold really did not throw him under the bus. Like he kind of praised him.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Darnold's a good guy.
Yeah.
Really.
Unlike Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean.
Did you see that press conference? Did we talk about this last week with Joe Flacco?
I don't remember.
Got injured in the press conference.
He got injured in the press. Oh, well, that's what he got after he spewed off all that.
Well, he did all that spewing off, and then the next day he went on the injured list. So, and he played the entire game. So I don't know how that. I think he mouthed off a little too much, and they said, "You know what? You're injured. You're not playing."
But no, the other hot news out of that division are not the Dolphins or the Jets. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. They are the team of New York. They are the best team in New York right now.
They're the best football team in New York. Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they're 6-2. It's a good first half of football.
Absolutely.
They've played a lot of less than average teams. I can't wait for the second half of the schedule. I've been studying their schedule because I'm going to predict every game of theirs again.
And see if you can.
Yeah, I mean, they really their second half is kind of easy again. And I'm
because the Jets and the Dolphins are on there.
Yeah, but there's other teams really they only play the Ravens, the Cowboys, and the Patriots who have legit quarterbacks. I can tell you their schedule, bro. I know it inside and out.
So the next two games, the next three games are winnable games, very winnable games. At Cleveland, which Cleveland looks like a complete train wreck.
Right.
At the Dolphins, who despite their one-game winning streak, suck. And then the Broncos are coming to Buffalo. And look, the Broncos are a decent football team, but the fact of the matter is they don't have a quarterback. That's a problem.
But that's going to be a good game because that's two good defenses.
Yeah.
Josh Allen for Buffalo is not a great quarterback. He's not even a good quarterback in my eyes.
They could be 9-2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy when you think about it.
Then they got the Ravens.
Then they got to go to Dallas to play the Cowboys. That's a tough game.
Yeah.
The Ravens go up to Buffalo. That's a tough game. Right. They have to go to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers.
Might be a tough game.
That could be a tough game because the
Steelers.
Pittsburgh? It's at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is getting better, and Mason Rudolph is getting better. That kid, I think, could be something special eventually. But he is still a rookie quarterback, right? So their defense may have a field day with him, but maybe not. Then they have to go to New England. They're going to lose. And then they finish off.
Why are they going to lose to New England?
Because
they play New England. They played them tough last time.
Yeah, but New England beats them.
No, yeah, I know, but again, it's Sunday and anything can happen on Sundays. So I don't think it's a given.
How do you know it's on a Sunday? Maybe it's a Monday night game.
Well, whatever.
And then they play the Jets at home, which, it could be, that is a Sunday. That could be Adam Gase's last day on the job.
It could be, yeah.
So he could be 24 hours away from getting fired by that point.
Yeah.
And deservedly so.
Well, the Bills are going to.
So the Bills could be 9-2. I mean, they'll win one of the Cowboys, Ravens, Steelers, and Patriots, right? They'll win. Worst case scenario, they'll manage to win one of those. So that's 10-2, right? And then the Jets, that's 11. 11 wins for the Bills.
They're not going to win 11. Give me that thing.
That would be a fantastic season for them.
They are going to lose to the Browns. They're going to beat the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They're going to lose to the Broncos.
They're not going to lose.
They're going to lose to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They're going to lose to the Ravens. So this is 3 straight losses right there. They're going to beat the Steelers, they're going to beat the Patriots, and they're going to beat the Jets. So
how many wins is that?
So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're going to finish 10-6.
I think they could go 11-5.
10-6, I give them.
But I don't think there's any way they lose this week to the Browns.
They're going to lose to the Browns.
The Browns are a complete mess.
They are, but in Cleveland, I feel the Browns will find a way, Odell or Baker or something. They're going to find a way to just self-motivate themselves to play.
Oh man, you're far more optimistic than I am
Now,
because that team looks absolutely in shambles. They've lost 4 straight. They have 3 of those 4 games they've scored less than 20 points.
I think they come to play this week.
In the NFL, which and now they're going to play against a team that's got a good defense.
They're going to come to play this week. Telling you.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, but I'm not holding out hope. 3 of those last 4 games that they've lost, they've played against good defenses. All 3 of those good defenses held them to less than 20. I say the Bills do the same thing.
Possibly.
And then you score less than 20, you lose like 98% of the games in the NFL. So I have very little hope for the Cleveland Browns.
The thing about the Bills is their offense doesn't really, it doesn't come off as if we need a quick 7 here, or if they have to run a 2-minute drill, they don't come off as that type of offense. They do. I feel like they do just enough thanks to the defense, and they depend a lot on the run game. So if teams stack the box against them.
So look, we're halfway through the season, and in the AFC, we've gone over the AFC East and the South, and we've talked very little about the West, but whatever. I'm curious, who are your playoff teams now? And the reason I ask in a curious manner is I'm curious what you think about teams like the Steelers at 4-4 and the Raiders at 4-4. Because right now it would be the Patriots, Ravens, Texans, and Chiefs, division winners, Colts, and Bills as wild cards. Can the Steelers at 4-4, 1 game behind the Colts, they've got the head-to-head, and the Raiders at 4-4, can they get themselves up there to maybe dislodge one of those 2 teams from a playoff spot? Do you think they make the playoffs if you had to bet right now?
No, I don't think, and both don't make the playoffs. But
do you think our field is set right now? Those 6 teams.
Hold on, I have to, because if I had to pick one, I would say the Raiders make the playoffs before the Steelers. The Steelers are not that good. I don't have any. They're
mediocre.
Yeah,
that's what 4-4 usually.
Yeah, I understand that, but they're not that good. So
you think they're less than their 4-4 record?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're set. I think we're set.
Yeah.
I don't see the Steelers making any type of run.
What about the Chargers at 4-5? Had a nice win yesterday against the Packers at home.
Nah, they've been too up and down.
They have been very up and down.
And
very up and down.
I don't know. Gordon seems to be back. He's got like 3 touchdowns in his last 2. But I mean, the Chargers always. Well, I'll tell you what. If anyone's gonna make the playoffs, we might see it this week with the Raiders playing the Chargers on Thursday night. So that could be a very
may push
that
one
game,
team out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like if anybody were to sneak in, I like the Raiders.
You know, if I'm looking at the 2 wild cards right now, which would be Buffalo and Indianapolis, I just feel like Buffalo has such a favorable schedule that I think they're going to make it. But I worry about Indianapolis, especially now with Jacoby Brissett being hurt.
Yeah.
You got to wonder if they're going to be able to put up another 5-3 over the second half of the season to be 10-6 and make the playoffs. So I think there's a chance for a Pittsburgh and Oakland or a Los Angeles Chargers to possibly get in there. But you look at the Colts schedule the rest of the way. They've got the Dolphins, which is a win, but then they've got the Jaguars and the Texans and the Titans, and in that division, anything can happen on any given Sunday. They've got to go to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, which is easy on paper, but it's not easy to go deal with them in Tampa. Then they've got to go to the Saints, and then they've got to go to and then they've got the Panthers. The Panthers are playing decent football. The Saints, as we know, are good. And then the Jaguars to finish out the season. It just looks, certainly from a strength of schedule, it looks very easy for Buffalo. It looks a little bit more difficult for Indianapolis. Now, I can't put my finger on who I think out of those 3 teams that we mentioned before, the Steelers, Raiders, or Chargers, who would come in and take that spot. But knowing that the Steelers have to play the Browns and the Bengals again, yeah, that's a nice little advantage to have because those 2 teams are terrible.
Well, let's see. The Raiders have Thursday night against the Chargers. They play at home to the Bengals. Then they go to the Jets. Then they go to the Chiefs. So they may not lose another game until December 1st. Then they play the Titans, the Jaguars at home, and they finish off on the road to the Chargers and Broncos. That's not exactly a hard schedule either. I mean, they could end up with 8. They can end up with 8-8, 9-7. That's not a difficult schedule.
Well, and talk about easy schedule. Listen to the Steelers' schedule. The Steelers have the Rams at home, which the Rams have been a little up and down. I think the Rams are better than the Steelers, but at home, who knows? Mm-hmm. Then listen to this stretch. At Cleveland, at Cincinnati, against Cleveland at home, and then the Cardinals. So they've got 4 relatively easy games in a row after the Rams. Then they've got the Bills, and then another easy game with the Jets, and then the Ravens to finish off the season. So you're looking at another. They could go 5-3 to end up at 9-7 and be in the conversation. You know, and I think Mason Rudolph is going to get better as he keeps playing.
Right.
It could be the Steelers could be in that conversation. Yeah. Again, I don't know who I would pick out of those 2 to take over the spot for the Colts. But more and more I'm feeling like the Colts are going to fall out of that spot and one of those 2 is going to jump in.
It could very well happen.
Just a gut feeling.
Could happen.
Looking at the NFC, were you surprised at how poorly the Packers played against the Chargers?
I didn't watch the game, but I was surprised that Aaron Rodgers had like 45 yards in the first half passing, and they only
could
had
not
3
move
yards.
the ball at all.
So yeah, that's a bit surprising. I mean, I understand, they're on the West Coast, but Chargers,
not all that.
aren't all that good.
Now they got lucky because the Vikings had to go to Kansas City.
That's right.
And they ended up losing that game. Very competitive game. I think the Vikings are pretty darn good. And I'm excited to see those 2 battle it out the rest of the way because the rest of that division has fallen off. The Lions, I think the Lions, you talk about this all the time. One of these days, a referee's decision or whatever is going to cost someone big. And I think it has sent I think it has put the Lions in a bit of a tailspin. And, they stopped doing the swirly there for a week against the Giants, but they had nothing for the Raiders yesterday. And it's starting to look like they're starting to fade. And you can't help but think that they're still kind of carrying the pissed offedness of getting hosed in that Green Bay game.
That could be part of it, but I think the other part is they traded away a player who, from reading the comments and articles, the locker room really liked. And so, that's an issue. Now you have a locker room that, doesn't maybe trust management, doesn't trust the coaching, right? Yeah. You take away some of their camaraderie, however you pronounce that word, all right? And so, I think that has an effect, too, on how they play and how they, going forward. So,
it's interesting. They seem to have they seem to be falling apart a little bit.
Yeah.
And the Bears are done.
Yeah, pretty much.
That offense cannot move the ball. That team looks like they are toast.
Yeah, they look pretty bad this year.
Yeah, they look like they have nothing.
3-5.
Yeah, not good. In the South, you've got the Saints still at 7-1. It's time to start thinking who the top 2 seeds are going to be. I don't think one of the top 2 seeds is going to be taken up by the NFC East winner, because I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are going to, they're going to beat each other up, and they're going to, I don't think they're great, but I still think the Eagles are better.
How lovely would it be if the Giants win tonight and just kind of, bring back the Cowboys in the standings? That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be half a game, right? Because the Cowboys would be 4-4 and the Eagles 5-4.
Right.
So there'd be half a game difference there. But as it stands right now, so then the top 2 seeds that we'd be looking at would be the winner of the North. You got the Packers at 7-2, Vikings at 6-3. I don't think you can count them out. In the South, the Saints at 7-1, and then in the West, you've got the Niners at 8-0, and the Seahawks are 7-2. So they're not done, in that division by any stretch of the imagination. So who are going to be the top 2 seeds in the NFC if you had to pick right now?
I'll pick the Saints and the Vikings.
I think it's going to be the Saints and the Seahawks, because I still don't trust the Niners. And I know that's not nice of me, but I just simply don't trust them.
Yeah. The problem with the Seahawks, the problem with picking any one of those 3 is I think the Cardinals are slowly getting better. They really are. I think Kyler Murray has really shown flashes of what he might be able to do consistently, and then they picked up Kenyon Drake from the Dolphins, who ran pretty freely against that 49ers tough defense. Mm-hmm. So all those teams are going to be beating up on each other, because the Seahawks and the Rams, they're still good teams. And they just know each other so well. If you look at the South Division, you got, the Falcons and the Bucks are not good teams, right? So, the Saints, that's 2 extra wins for them.
Right.
And the same thing in the North, right? The Vikings will just have to worry about the Packers. The other 2 are garbage. And I just haven't trusted Packers all year long. I think the Vikings are... I think they're a really good, solid team, man. Yeah. I really do.
My only difference from you right there is I think the Seahawks are the best team in the West.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think they are going to beat each other up, but I think the Seahawks can weather the storm. And if you look at their schedule, it's not brutal. Well, it is kind of brutal, but I still think they're really good. They've got to go to San Francisco, to Philadelphia, then they host the Vikings, to LA to play the Rams, to Carolina, and then they host the Cardinals and the Niners again. So they can really make hay in that division, because they have such a lot of their division left to play. They're 2-0 already in the division,
right?
And so, they could really chop it up in there. They control their own destiny to a large degree. And I like Russell Wilson. I think it's a well-coached football team. They've managed to stay away from the injury bug some. So I think that they're going to pull it out. I just don't trust San Francisco.
No.
I don't know why.
No, San Fran's a good team.
I agree. I don't trust them to the point of saying they're going to be a 1 or a 2 seed, even at 8-0.
Yeah.
When do they lose?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me though if they do get the 1 seed.
When do the 1972 Miami Dolphins get to pop champagne? Let's
Week 11.
So you think they're going to beat the Seahawks and then lose to the Cardinals?
I just took a guess. Okay, no, wrong.
So
Go ahead.
Week 10, which is this coming week, will be against Seattle.
Where?
In San Francisco.
It doesn't even matter where.
And then it's the Cardinals at home. Then it's the Packers at home. Then they have to go to Baltimore and New Orleans. Then they play at home against the Falcons. Then they have to go to LA to play the Rams. They play the Rams at home, and then they have to go to Seattle to finish the season.
Okay, if the 49ers are the real deal, they'll win all those games. Seriously, that's a tough-ass schedule.
Well, they're not going to win them all.
That's a tough schedule.
Surely the 1972 Dolphins will be popping that champagne.
I think it happens this week.
Yeah,
Back-to-back weeks, the undefeated team goes down.
I agree. I think Seattle's.
Yeah.
Again, I just finished saying that I think very highly of Seattle. So
that's a tough schedule, man. Holy cow.
That is tough. Well, and Seattle has a tough schedule too. It seems like those NFC West teams have it tough.
It's tough right now to really predict, though, right? Because there's still a whole half a season left, and a team can lose like 4 straight games right now. And then by the time they, what looks to be a marquee matchup right now in week 15, 16, or 17 might end up being a dud.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So that it's tough, but damn, that's a tough schedule for the Niners, man.
It's funny that the Niners and the Seahawks have tough schedules, and then in the AFC, it seemed like all the teams we were talking about had easy schedules.
But yeah. But the NFC has looked all year long like
tougher top to bottom.
I don't know if tougher, but just more teams that are at least, better than average.
Yeah, and even the teams that are below average right now, they'll give you a hard time, right? Like Tampa Bay, they went out and beat the brakes off the Rams,
right?
So they can give you a hard time
and played the Seahawks tough,
right? The Lions are the same thing. They've played some tough games, and they haven't gotten they just haven't gotten shellacked every week, and they've got 3 wins. The Bears, right? So they're below average, but they can still come up and bite you. Whereas in the AFC, you have teams like the Jets and the Dolphins, and the only teams they're going to beat are each other. So it's a little bit different. Last thing, who wins the NFC East? It's a 2-horse race. I know you don't want to hear that, but it is. It's a tough call.
Yeah. I feel like the Cowboys have the better team. But for some reason I'm going to say the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys win that division.
See, I disagree with you. I think the Eagles have a better team, and I think the Eagles are starting to come together a little bit. They're starting to play a little bit better football.
Yeah, but look who they played.
They beat your Bills.
Okay, but then they go and play the Bears. They've lost some really bad games.
Yeah,
against the Falcons, that was a bad game. Against the Lions, that was a bad game.
I don't disagree with you, but again, what I'm talking about is momentum, and it seems like they are starting to generate some momentum. That's what has me thinking that they may, they may really turn the corner.
And now Deshaun Jackson is going to be out for even longer. So now Carson Wentz.
He's hurt again?
He's been hurt, but I guess
I thought he came back.
Right, he was supposed to come back, but the Eagles must have the Mets medical staff, and he's gonna be out for longer. So now he's got to throw to Dinosaur Arms, Aguilar, whatever the hell his name is, who can't catch. That's a big
That is a big loss. Well, and not only is he a good receiver that catches the ball thrown to him, he also gives you a deep threat to open up that secondary and to push those linebackers a little bit further back so that Zach Ertz can do the mid-range job that he needs to do. It gives him a little more space. Their schedule the rest of the way, they host the Patriots this coming week.
This week?
Oh no, next week. So this is their bye week coming up.
They're gonna get blown out. The Patriots after a loss and then a bye and then.
No. The Patriots don't have a bye. The Eagles.
The Patriots have a bye this week.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're both going to be on the bye. That's interesting.
You don't see that often.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw that. Then they host the Seahawks. Then they've got a tough one. They've got to go to Miami. Ooh. Another tough one. They host the Giants.
Okay.
Another tough one. They've got to go to Washington. And then they've got the Cowboys, which could very well be for the division at that point. And then the Giants to finish the season. So they've got, four easy wins in there. Dolphins, Giants, Redskins, and Giants.
Am I the only one that thinks that division games are tough no matter what the record is? Because, I mean,
for the most part, except when you have to play the Jets and the Dolphins and the Giants and the Redskins and the Bengals and the Browns.
Yeah, but there's a different sense of when the NFC East plays each other. There's a different kind of intensity. A different type of football game than if like the Bengals and the Browns suck, right? And the Ravens and the Steelers are really good, right? I mean, yeah, I wouldn't count them. I don't know.
What you don't really see as much, like in the NFC East, you don't see a whole lot of blowouts, no matter what the records are. Whereas in the AFC North, for example, the Ravens are going to blow the doors off the Bengals. The Steelers are going to blow the doors off the Browns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Patriots are going to blow the doors off the Jets. I mean, they're going to have them seeing ghosts, for fuck's sake. I mean, it's just, when the record widens, when the spread between the two teams widens, the score widens as well. Whereas in the NFC East, you don't see it as often. Same thing in the NFC North, right?
Right.
You don't see, even if the Bears suck, when they play the Packers, it ends up being a game, and it doesn't end up being 37-7. So, interesting that you think the Cowboys are going to win the East, and I think the Eagles. We should write some of our mid-season predictions here.
Yeah, I just think the Eagles, they've had costly losses. That's two games. That's a lot that could very well not let them get in the playoffs. They're gonna have to win a division.
That loss to Atlanta is gonna look huge.
And the Lions, because against the Lions they were dropping a lot of passes too. So
yeah, but the Falcons may not have a head coach by the time the season ends.
They got rid of their offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach. I'm sure that helped.
That's the problem.
Right. So.
But the NFL is in the middle of the season. We need to go back and talk about the end of the season for baseball and start talking about a little bit of off-season because we've already had some off-season activity that I find quite interesting. But let's start with the action on the field. Amazingly, the Nationals came back and won Game 6. The Nationals came back and won Game 7. And they won the World Series 4-3 against the Astros. Every single game won by the road team. Never happened before in any of the four major sports.
That's crazy.
Are you shocked? I mean, here's my question. We do this all the time, and I kind of don't like it, but I hear a lot of back and forth about this. Did the Nationals win the World Series, or did the Astros lose the World Series?
Both.
Well, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, but listen
so
to...
You're going to go 50-50.
Yeah, but listen to what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Every road team won. If you look at every game, the reasons the Nationals lost 3 games is 4 letters. RISP. Runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
The 4 games that the Astros lost, same trend. The Astros have to blame themselves for losing just as much as we give credit to the Nationals for winning. The Astros were horrible with runners in scoring position. And, let's just take Game 7 because that was the game. Right. And they had multiple chances against Scherzer. Right? Yeah. Scherzer pitched, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And they just didn't come through. And, and the Nationals did. And that was the story of the World Series.
Yeah, it is amazing that the effectiveness of both teams really with runners in scoring position was the crux of it all.
Yeah.
I think the Nationals won the World Series a little bit more than the Astros lost it. My only complaint about the Astros is they never adjusted their game to play a little more small ball. It seemed like they were waiting for that big hit, but there was very little, running. There was very little hit and run. There was very little stolen bases. There were no bunts. They just expected their bats to come in and line balls down the line or in the gap and score, hit doubles and home runs and win it that way.
Yeah.
And the Nationals, for their part, they played a little more small ball, which I think helped them, and they really stepped it up when things got tough. Scherzer in that Game 7 did not have his best stuff, but it seemed like every time people got on base, he took it up a notch.
Yeah.
He threw the ball a little bit harder. His location was a little bit better. He was fooling guys a little bit more. It seemed like he was managing the game much better than what his overall performance would look like. And then the third thing is, look, I think Martinez did a phenomenal job. They went out, they had 4 decent starters. They've got 2 aces in Scherzer and Strasburg for sure. But Corbin is no slouch, and neither is Sanchez. And he used them masterfully. He knew he didn't have a great bullpen. And so what he did was he used those starters to supplement on off days. It was a risky move, but he did it all playoffs long. He did it against the Dodgers as well, where he brought Strasburg in relief, Sanchez in relief, and got an inning or 2 in high leverage situations. And I think that was an incredibly smart move, and it was ballsy, because if it blows up in your face, it blows up in your face big time, right? Because now you've used the guy and you blew the game, and by the way, now you can't start him. So it was really, I thought it was masterful. It was a stroke of genius, and they, I think for those reasons, I would say the Nationals won the World Series as opposed to the Astros lost the World Series.
And surprisingly, the Nationals bullpen, when they did have their chances,
they were much better than they were during the season.
Yeah.
Because during the season, you didn't start watching a Nationals game until the 6th inning.
Right.
Right? Because once those starters are out, the game gets real interesting.
Yeah.
So kudos to them. They spent money on Kurt Suzuki, who was great in the playoffs. They spent money on Corbin, who was fantastic. Money well spent. And a lot of people giving Bryce Harper a little bit of a hard time because he leaves and now they win. It just goes to show you don't have to put $300 million in one guy to win a World Series. If you spend your money wisely, you can build a good team and hopefully you have guys step up. I mean, obviously Anthony Rendon stepped up this year to be their leader and MVP candidate. In my opinion, he is the MVP of the National League, and maybe that doesn't happen if Bryce Harper's still there because he doesn't feel the need to step it up. So really masterful job, I thought, by the Nationals overall.
What do you think about Strasburg opting out? Put any stock into that, or you just think it's just playing the negotiation game?
I think all of these guys do the opt-in, opt-out thing, and it's strictly a negotiation ploy.
Yeah, I think he stays.
I think he's going to stay and sign a big deal with them. I think the Astros have no chance of signing Garrett Cole. I think Cole is going to go where Cole is going to listen. For all you people out there that are talking about Garrett Cole, like he went to a Yankees game when he was a little kid and he wants to be out on the West Coast again. No. Garrett Cole is going to go to whichever team puts the most zeros on that contract. I'm sorry. I know that's not a popular opinion. I know that's not a feel-good opinion. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he's doing it.
Right.
But when a guy shows up at the post-game press conference 20 minutes after the World Series is done, wearing his agent's hat and saying, technically I'm unemployed, if you can't read between those lines, I can't help you, man. But he is going, look, if the Yokohama Giants offer him $500 million, he's going to go to Japan and play baseball. But he is not going anywhere that does not give him absolutely the most amount of money. There may be a little back and forth between, $200 million over 10 years or $220 million over 11 years. There might be a little bit of that math going on, but at the end of the day, he's going to go for the biggest contract value.
Yeah, and he's going to get the biggest contract.
And look, he deserves a huge contract, and I don't blame him.
No, yeah.
I don't blame him because I would do the same thing, right? Well, I wouldn't. I would make a hometown discount for the Mets, right? If the Mets came calling, I would do that. I would play in New York. I would play for the Mets or the Yankees actually for less money because I would love being in New York. But for the most part,
I hope the Orioles come out and just
God,
$200 million, bro.
Wouldn't it be great if the Orioles just offered him $38 million a year? Wouldn't it be fantastic if the Orioles said 10 years, $380 million? Here you go.
What do you say to that, right? I mean,
where do I sign? That's what you say. You got a pen? Can I bring my own pen, or do you have one you want me to use?
If I was Houston fans and he did that, I would dog him so bad. I mean, he should get dog. If he were to ever do that, something like that, or any athlete, I would dog the shit out of them because it's clear that they don't have no interest in winning at that point. They have no interest in winning.
What if management promises you? Well, what if they signed 2 free agents and another one was like a Manny Machado type?
Nah.
Okay, what if they got rid of Chris Davis too?
He has to play for the Orioles.
Yeah. But yeah, that guy's gonna get paid.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. He's gonna win the Cy Young, I think.
Him or Verlander?
I think it's gonna be him.
You think it's gonna be him?
Yeah, I mean the guy didn't lose a game.
And
from May 15th on, he didn't lose a game.
So all Astros or former Astro Cy Young Award finalists: Garrett Cole, Charlie Moore, and Justin Verlander. You got Garrett Cole? Yeah, I think Cole wins it too. Let me see. AL MVP: Bregman, Marcus Semien, and Mike Trout. Wow. I mean, that's Bregman or Trout, right?
Yeah. Who do I think deserves it? I think Bregman. Who do I think is going to win it? Trout.
I think Bregman deserves it and is going to win it.
I hope so, because I think he is the most deserving. Trout missed 25 games or 30 games. I mean,
but he still put up ungodly numbers.
I know, but when you miss 30 games, that's a lot. That's a lot.
But I don't think they take that into consideration.
They should.
Because the team sucks anyway. And he probably would have had great numbers anyway.
No, I'm not predicting that he wouldn't have, but the fact of the matter is he didn't.
So in the National League, the MVP comes down to Bellinger, Rendon, and Yelich.
I think it's Rendon, but I won't be surprised if they give it to Bellinger. I think that one's pretty close.
I think Yelich should win. Yelich should win. I think he should win.
He missed a bunch of games down the stretch too.
Not 25 games.
No, not 25, but he did miss quite a few.
Yeah.
So.
And NL Cy Young, you got DeGrom, Ryu, and Max Scherzer.
If they're putting in those votes now, it's going to be Scherzer.
It should be DeGrom.
It should be DeGrom.
I mean, that's not. I'm not even being a homer. It should be DeGrom. If we're looking at if by last year we went by numbers and we go by numbers again, DeGrom should be it.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a landslide like it was last year. It's going to be real close.
Because Ryu's numbers are pretty good too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be close.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be close. He may not win it.
Rookie of the Year is a no-brainer in both, right?
Pete Alonso, Mike Soroka, or Fernando Tatis. Yeah, Pete Alonso. I mean,
he hit 52 home runs for crying out loud.
Yeah, he's
Chicks dig the long ball.
And then in the AL, you got Brandon Lowe, who I don't even know who he plays for. John Means, I have no idea who he plays for. Jordan Alvarez. I mean,
Alvarez.
Is he gonna? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he had a monster year. Numbers wise, he's gonna blow them out of the water.
So that's that.
What else
for the awards?
Is there you got Manager of the Year on there?
AL is Rocco Baldelli, Aaron Boone, Kevin Cash. Give me Kevin Cash.
Kevin Cash is a Tampa guy, right?
Tampa. Baldelli's the Twins, I believe.
I think Boone should get some love.
He shouldn't get no love.
Dude, as many injuries as they had, he was juggling that lineup a lot.
I mean...
That's a tough job.
I could juggle a lineup, too.
Yeah, but you suck.
I've never had the opportunity to.
Did you apply for the Mets job?
No.
I did.
Kevin Cash should win that one.
I think him and to me it's between him and Boone.
And in the National League, you got Craig Counsell, Mike Schilt, and Brian Snicker. St. Louis.
Counsell.
St. Louis and Atlanta. Maybe Atlanta.
Atlanta had a good year. That's a tough call.
That
one's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Martinez didn't get more love. Turning that team around after losing Harper.
Yeah. Probably nobody thought. I don't know. Man, they were bad for the first 2 months or whatever. But they made the playoffs, right?
Dude, they played 600 baseball from June on, so
watch out for the Brewers, man.
Not an insignificant part of the season.
The Brewers released Eric Thames, and then they traded away a pitcher, and they cleared like $16 million. They may be making a run at
Cole.
I don't know. Somebody.
The other news that's come out of baseball, Carlos Beltran. Well, there's a couple of managerial moves, right? Joe Madden to the Angels, which I think is a good move because I think the world of Joe Madden. And Carlos Beltran to the Mets, and Joe Girardi to the Phillies. Mm-hmm. Who made the best hire out of those three?
I'm gonna say the Phillies.
I'm going to say the Angels. I love Joe Madden. I think Joe Madden's an excellent manager. Girardi, I think Girardi's going to be good in Philly. I think he's going to be really good, but I like Madden better. And with the Mets, with Beltran, it's an unproven commodity.
I mean, look, I said it before. Joe Girardi will help the Phillies out more than he would have the Mets. The Mets are better than the Phillies right now. That roster is better than the Phillies. I don't care if they were better by 5 games, 1 game, 10 games. The Mets are better than the Phillies. Beltran doesn't have to be what Joe Girardi is or what everyone expects Joe Girardi to do as a manager. Mm-hmm. I think Beltran's there just to keep these guys focused, man, and motivated and play consistent ball. Beltran had his best years with the Mets, and I think he's got a really good chance with this team and a couple of other moves, a couple more additions in the winter to rewrite and his last memory as a Met. I think it's got a great story for that. And Beltran is a good player. I think he could, or was a good player that could, instill some of his, work ethics and all that stuff into the team. But I think most importantly is just getting the team, being the voice of that locker room to play consistent baseball. That's what it's all about. And Girardi with the Phillies, he's there to... I feel like he's there to motivate also, but to manage the locker room a little better. I don't think Kepler managed the locker room. He tried to manage the game, and that was not. It just didn't result into anything.
Yeah. I think he's going to be I think he's going to have a great effect, a very positive effect on the clubhouse, which is good. I do worry a little bit about his in-game management. Remember the last time he was in the league, last few seasons, he was in the American League.
Who's that?
Beltran. He was in the American League quite a bit. National League Baseball, I feel, is a little bit different and can be a little bit dicey. at times. You got to kind of navigate your way through. Not to say that he can't do it. Not to say that he's going to be bad at it. Just saying I need to see what that's going to be like. And I certainly hope that he's got those skills sharpened. And if that's the case, it's going to be a great hire for the Mets because I do think he's going to be a really good influence in the clubhouse.
And he's Hispanic. The last 2 World Series champion managers, Hispanic. I like those odds.
Okay, yeah. The white guy that won the year before that.
He wasn't white. The last
AJ
2 years.
Hinch, the year before.
Oh yeah, well,
Cora.
Yeah, he also blew this one by taking out Greinke.
I don't think that blew it.
No, but it had something to do with it.
He had to take him out.
Why? He was at 80 pitches.
He was starting to get touched up. He had just
don't you put in Cole?
He had just missed. Hold on a second. He had just missed badly to Rendon, and then he missed again to Soto, but Soto missed and only got a single out of it. But that was a pitch that was down the middle. You could tell he's starting to get tired and he was starting to lose it.
Well, don't you play with your best players and put in Cole in that case?
I don't know.
You gotta put in Cole.
Well, we say that, but we don't know.
He was warming up.
We don't know how those conversations went. We don't know what we don't know. It's no guarantee.
Okay, if you were a manager, you take out your starter who's been pitching very well, and you have the option to go to Garrett Cole or to your best bullpen guy.
Harris.
Okay, it's Harris.
Who we went to.
Okay, which obviously ended up costing them, right? So, I mean, those are your 2 options. After you warmed up Garrett Cole, those are your options.
Yeah.
And you choose to go with
Harris.
Not the better option. Not the best pitcher available to you right then and there. Because Garrett Cole obviously was available, right? As a manager in Game 7 of a World Series, you gotta play your best available players.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know that the result would have been any different.
But would you have taken your chance on Cole rather than?
I don't know because I don't know Garrett Cole's makeup. It's different, right? Like, so I think Martinez sat down and talked to all of his pitchers before the playoffs started, probably when they clinched, and told them to expect to be used in certain high leverage situations in relief. And he got complete buy-in from those guys, and the results played out, which is what makes me say he got complete buy-in. To make a snap decision, because now it's Game 7, I don't know how those conversations went with Cole. I don't know if he talked to Verlander as well. I don't know how that went to say that's the right way to go. Pitchers are very finicky, and coming in relief is a very different situation than they're accustomed to. He may not have felt he had a 2-1 lead. He may not have felt like that was the right situation to bring him in. Maybe he's thinking, I'm gonna bring in Harris, get myself out of this inning, and have Cole start the 7th or start the 8th. Right? I just don't know. I'm not.
Well, no, none of us know.
I'm not ready to say that was absolutely the wrong decision. Because look.
Yeah, but look, none of us know what that was like. But at some point, as a manager, you have control of the decisions that are made and who's on the field and all that. The fact that Cole was up and throwing tells me that he was available. So the conversation was obviously talked about, but you can't script that out. This is Game 7 of the World Series. You can plan for how things may go, but they don't necessarily go the way you always plan. So
right. I did not think it was a bad decision, and the fact that Howie Kendrick hit that home run, look, that was not a bad pitch that Harris threw. It was low and away, and Kendrick just went out and got it. And to me, that home run is entirely on Kendrick and not on Harris. And so I don't think it was the wrong decision. I didn't think it was the wrong decision. I was a little bit confused by him bringing in Osuna to finish the 7th after that, because if you were willing to bring him in the 7th, and why would you be willing to bring him in the 7th? Because you're not going to get 2 1/3 out of him, right? So, and he's your closer. So I thought that was kind of weird, which makes me think that his thought process was, I'm going to bring Cole in the 8th to pitch a full 8th and 9th. And that's why I don't disagree with the decision to bring in Harris. I don't think it was the wrong decision. My opinion, he did the right thing. The Nationals just did it better. So I people are quick to jump on AJ Hinch, but I just don't see it that way exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yes.
You got anything else?
No, I'm ready to go watch this game.
I know. I know. All right. Well, as always, folks, if you want to get a hold of us and you want to share your thoughts on MLB and the winter activities or the NFL, how things are going, or any sports talk at all, shoot, we don't care. We enjoy it all. You can email the show, positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of this guy.
Interception Giants.
They already threw an interception?
That's right. Let's go Giants.
They threw an interception?
Who did? Interception Giants.
Oh, the Giants
Cowboys
intercepted it.
Well, yeah, of course. Why would I be cheering? Come on now.
Oh, I don't know.
Come on now.
I didn't know. I thought maybe you were being facetious.
No.
If you want to get a hold of this guy, how do they do that?
On Twitter at BrooklynGaucho1.
And if you want to get a hold of me, you can do so on Twitter as well at eMontana21. No shout out tonight. We're going to get out of here so we can go watch the game.
That's right.
Episode 100, lively debates about sports. Pretty much what all of these episodes are like. Only I think we took it up a notch today. It was kind of good.
Yeah, it was good.
I like it. By the way, last week, I got hammered.
For?
Episode 99.
For? Oh, not knowing.
Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, shit.
Only the greatest hockey player that's ever lived.
Yikes. That was, oh, yeah. Even I don't watch hockey. I should know that.
That'd be like not saying Babe Ruth for episode 3.
All right. Well, you got one for 100?
I don't know. Has anyone ever won 100?
Wilt Chamberlain, man. 100 points?
Oh, there you go.
Right?
Wilt Chamberlain.
100 on the spelling test I got in 3rd grade.
You never got 100 on the spelling test in any grade. I know that for a fact.
I know.
There's no way. Alrighty, folks. As always, thank you very much. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Enjoy the podcast on whatever platform you choose to listen. YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, Podbean, yada, 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 yada. And as always, folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.
Peace.